Hello, I'm BMillzebub, and welcome to my channel. So here we are at the end. Today we finish watching The Passion of the Christ. By the way, stick around after I finish the movie for a discussion of my take on the overall film. So let's not waste any more time and jump right back in. Ladies, gentlemen, and everything in between, the cat. But back to the Last Supper scene where we left off. Oh, flashback. No one comes to the Father but by me. How fucking pretentious, Jesus. Now they have to basically break Jesus' arm to, or pop it out of socket to reach the nail hole. And the famous Father forgive them. He hadn't finished it yet. And, the little block thing for the feet, because he has to, prop himself up somehow. Otherwise, his hands are definitely going to tear in like 4 seconds. Has anybody else noticed that it's been pretty much the same 2 centurions just absolutely wrecking him this whole time? Like, all the way back from the chastising. Okay, I'm curious how this works. So they flip the cross over so they can, just prop him straight up, even though it probably doesn't matter which direction he was actually facing. And, when it was on its back, it was flat on the ground. Now, there's like a foot of space between Jesus and the ground when it should have just smashed him in the face. I think that was probably done more for Jim Caviezel, the dude who played Jesus' safety. And flip it back over. And they're pinning the King of the Jews thing. Flashback again. The whole "this is my body" bit of it. Waiting for the next bit where he does the "wine is my blood" thing. They're hoisting him up, and oh, this is taking a long time. I know actually hoisting up a cross would probably take a little bit, at least a couple of minutes. But this is a movie. You can cut out at least half of it. Kitty girl, do you really need to take a bath so loudly? Hey, Missy. Don't be so loud. Yeah, here's another flashback. Because Mel Gibson indeed was fascinated by different things during each step of the creative process here. Yeah, this is my blood, and then he shares it with everyone. Hey, Missy, you're being loud again. So. Oh, come here. I know. And now one of the other condemned men is telling him to prove he is who he is. And for some reason, Jesus' cross looks different from the other two. And now the high priest is taunting him. But, the other two look like capital T's, and Jesus looks like a lowercase t. Are you done bathing loudly, Missy? And we had another Father forgive them. And the other condemned man says, listen, he prays for you. Hopefully some of you are watching this with me, so it's not just me saying these things. I ask that you remember me when you enter your kingdom. Bearing in mind that Jews don't today have a concept of heaven and hell. It doesn't exist. Yep, and here's the crow, or raven, whatever it is, to peck out the one condemned dude who's being an asshole, his eyeball. Sorry for all the dead air. I mean, it's just some parts of the movie where nothing happens. I mean, right now, Jesus is basically in delirium, dying. I may end up cutting out this massive section of dead air, but then again, maybe not, because this is supposed to be like a non-stop review of the movie. I mean, there's just so much nothing happening right now. Nothing is going on. I mean, it's just the high priests riding away on their donkeys and people standing there watching and waiting. I mean, the only exciting thing happening right now is that a storm is brewing. That's it. Yeah, the winds have picked up. It's actually not even very exciting at all. And now Mary's kissing her son's bloody feet. And Jesus is thirsty, so they give him a sponge covered in vinegar. Because, you know, vinegar will quench your thirst. Suppose if it's all you got, it's something. Mary's begging Jesus to let her die with him. They haven't said this disciple's name yet in the movie. And he's been featured in a lot of the scenes, and I don't know which one he's meant to be, because I don't remember, you know, I don't remember it that well. But I don't actually care. But now he's like Mary's son. So there's that. I guess she has some reason to keep living. And now Jesus asks his dad / himself why he abandoned him / himself. Stop clawing me. Shit hurts. Father, into your hands I commend my spirit. And dead. No, I don't really remember. Hang on, let me... Kitty girl, can you let me move a little bit? I'm not sure how long Jesus hung on the cross. Okay, like 6 hours. And this movie is supposed to be like the last 12 hours of Jesus' life, so did they screw up in the description of the movie and mean to say 24? Because it's been at least a whole day. And here, this is a potentially fun interpretation, I guess. You remember earlier in the movie when the high priest rended his clothes, tore them apart? Ow! Stop clawing me! Well, the same thing happened to the temple just then. I'm pretty sure the same thing is happening here. There are some people who would interpret that as God rending his clothes in mourning for the loss of his son. And as we just now saw, they broke the kneecaps of 2 of the people that were hanging there, and the idea there is to suffocate them. It's a pretty slow suffocation, but there it is. And of course, Jesus just got stabbed in the abdomen by a spear. And now the priests are all like, oh shit, we fucked up. You see, they're crying now. And they're the ones that push the hardest for... Weird. If we remember the devil from earlier, it's laughing insanely now. But, yeah. The high priests are crying in mourning for Jesus. Because reasons. And now they're bringing down Jesus' dead body. Crown of thorns removed. Dead air. What is it, Missy? Spoiled little kitten. I mean, I will give this movie this, as atrocious as the storyline is, as awful as watching the torture scene was, there's some pretty good acting in this movie. It's convincing, you know. Jesus' mother's grief is particularly convincing. And the stone, presumably covering Jesus' tomb. Because I'm totally certain that people who were executed by crucifixion got tombs. Is it opening or closing? It's sort of hard to tell. Okay, it's opening. And the cloth Jesus was wrapped in just sort of because his body disappeared. And reappeared. This would be 3 days later, by the way. Because Jesus gave up his weekend for your sins. And he looks all better. No massive scourge marks or anything like that. I mean, the stab in his abdomen and the holes in his hands and feet are still there. But, yeah. And that's the end of the movie. So, kitty girl, you have to move now. And we'll head back into the other room and have a small discussion about the film, and I'm going to close the video after that. So as I said a moment ago, despite the gruesome way the story was told, the acting was actually quite good. But that's about where it stops. I used to be held captive by this movie. It used to move me in ways that it simply doesn't now. Now I think it's a sick, twisted, and grotesque form of torture porn with over-exaggerated violent sequences to drive its point home, something I now think it fails to do, mostly because the excessive violence takes away from any narrative that could be told. Instead of paying attention to the story, you're paying attention to the gore and brutality of the more violent scenes. That's how it was for me, anyway. You're taken out of the movie by the injuries all over Jesus' body. Once again, at least I was. If the movie makes me feel anything, it's sick rather than inspired. And I do think on some level the movie was meant to inspire, but I just can't give it credit for that. I think I can say with a fair amount of confidence that I have no desire to watch this movie ever again, and will likely follow through on never seeing it again. But if you enjoyed the video, please leave it a like, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and click the notification bell to get notified whenever I upload a new video. Don't forget to follow me on Twitter, linked below, to keep up with all my comings and goings. Take it easy, everyone, and I will see you all in the next one.